Good evening. I'm Martin McNair, and I'm the co-founder of the Jordan McNair Foundation. We like to welcome you to Can My Child Play Conversations. So this evening we have a special show this evening because what we wanted to do was invite some parents of student athletes who have passed from a result of this 100% preventable injury. And we just wanted to kind of talk about some things around the holiday time and just a memorial to memorialize our children. So again, I'm Martin McNair. My co-host is Tanya Wilson, or co-founder of the Jordan McNair Foundation. We invited quite a few guests this evening, and hopefully they'll join us as time goes on. Just of a few student athletes that have passed this year, in the last 2 to 3, 4 years since this has happened. And what we like to do is just create a support group around this. So what we decided to do was special this evening. We wanted to do just more of an intimate meeting this evening, and we didn't want to bring any guests in. We wanted to just kind of pre-record because what we wanted to do was just kind of wrap our arms and some virtual hugs around people that have lost their child. And this, unfortunately, is a club that none of us want to be a part of. However, we try our best to move on, in spite of losing some of our greatest gifts in a sense. So, as I make introductions this evening, one of our partners in crime or partners in the mission is Laurie Giordano from the Zach Martin Memorial Foundation. She's been in the trenches just as long as we have, and we do a lot of work together. So how are you this evening, Laurie?
Doing good. Thanks, Marty.
Good. Here we go again. And Laurie, one of the things that, we talk frequently about the changes that we can make. And, one of the things that, is almost impossible not to understand everyone's grief process when it comes to losing a child. Laurie, so let me ask you, I know what we did, Tanya and I did when we lost Jordan, and we jumped right into advocacy. What was your process in regards to that? Did you jump right in, or did you kind of wait and just go through your grief process, or did you do like us and put your grief process into making a difference?
Yeah, I jumped into figuring out what went wrong. What needed to happen to protect others pretty quickly. We created the foundation in July. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'm getting a message that I have low audio quality. So in July, just a few weeks after Zachary passed, I immediately started looking into what exertional heat stroke was. Like a lot of people, I had, I thought it was just, a little bit as mainly heat illness is what I thought it was. I thought that's what exertional heat stroke was. And as I found out, they're very different. And I had no idea you could die from that. Beyond that, I found out that, to save a person who has heat stroke, really all they need is a tub and ice and water. And then every time that's been used, quickly on premises, they've survived. And that was a real pivotal moment for me. It was horrifying, to say the least, that something so simple could have saved his life. But then once the initial horror passed, I realized there were so many kids still out there practicing every day, and not just football. This, was band members and ROTC and cheerleading, and all these kids are out there in the heat practicing. trying to get better and pushing themselves. And I just realized that it was a really dangerous situation that our kids were in. And I felt like if I didn't know, probably there were lots of other parents who didn't know how dangerous that was. And so I just decided I was going to start talking about it. And, that's definitely not the easy road. That, Tanya and Marty, talking about it is probably the hardest way to go. But that's what resonates with other parents and other people who are part of the sports arena. Someone talking about their loss is really what gets people's attention and gets them to listen to what you're saying, and also gets them to hear, listen, this is so easy. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing this. And so that's really how it all started for us.
Yep. Now, hey, Laurie, so, and again, we share a lot of the same ideas when it comes to advocacy. But, what I wanted to do special this evening was, and I think that what we do is we can get so entrenched, and you and I speak frequently, and we get laser focused on the mission. And what I wanted to do specifically tonight was I wanted to let's tell the world or tell our listeners who Zach was, who Jordan was, like what's some of the things, especially this time of the year. Of course, it's emotional. How can it not be? Us as parents with the loss of a child. But let's let the world know who our angels were in a sense, and hopefully we'll have a couple more parents join us, and they can have the opportunity to do the same thing. Laurie, so Zach was, I was looking at him, and he was what, 6'4", what, 300 plus?
300, 320.
Boy, what size shoe did he wear?
At that time, he was in a solid 15 wide.
Yep, we've been there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and tell us some things. I mean, whatever you want to share about Zach, and what type of young man was he? At that age, I know that I joke, and let me say this: I speak to Jordan's high school, and I always speak like on the last day of their yearly championship game, and they always have a breakfast for fathers, right? So for all of the team members, and luckily, they invited me to speak the last couple of years. And, one of the things that I remember when I was speaking to the guys and their fathers, and I always said, a lot of you guys are always mama's boys, and it's like, they get on TV and, any type of interviews, it's always a thanks mom, and their social media pages, they always, thanking mom, and mom's my number one lady. And I'm like, well, what about me? Like, I was the one taking you to combines across the nation. It was me. It wasn't mom. It was me. So, what's something that you want to share with us about Zach?
Gosh, so many things flood in and crowd in when someone says, tell me something about him. One thing that came up in my, social media memories today was that the winter prior to his passing, after he was done with football, he was sort of recruited onto a lacrosse team at his school, and they were it was a traveling team for Florida. And I didn't really know, what we were getting into, but he seemed to be excited about it. He was going to be the goalie. He had never played lacrosse before, ever. So neither one of us really knew how intense that could be. And so that ended up being a real blessing for me. Because it was a traveling team every weekend. We were driving, 2-3 hours to to stay overnight somewhere for meets the next day. And he tried so hard to master being a goalie. And these boys, we found out later, the teams we were playing were the top-notch nationally ranked teams. And, the coach didn't tell Zach that, which is probably a good thing, because Zach would have been like, forget it, I'm out. But he went out there and he just tried to take up as much space as possible in front of that net. And, he just couldn't believe how fast they would, chuck these balls in there. He was just amazed at the talent and how quick they were. And he found out about halfway through the season, the coach said, Zach, if they come in that circle, you can tackle them. And that completely changed the game for Zach. He just was like, what? You mean I can tackle these guys? And man, he was just looking for somebody to come in there after that. He really wanted them to. But it was something that they had practice 4 nights a week, at 7 o'clock. So he would come home, we would eat dinner, he would do homework, and I would take him back out to school, and they would have practice. And then we were traveling every weekend, and, it was intense. It was, more than I think either one of us really bargained for. But I am so, so grateful that I had all that extra time, and it was just me and Zach. It was just the two of us. We have 2 other boys that, were in school and with activities. So my husband and I had to divide and conquer at that point in time. And so it was just me running Zach all over. And, I'm so grateful I got to spend that time with him in the months leading up to the summer that we lost him. But, that's one thing that he was all for, trying something. Even though he had never played it before, he had no idea what he was getting into. The teacher was like, hey, let's go, let's try it. And he just said, okay, I'm there, I'll be there. Yeah. And so he really, and the coach actually told us a story that he put Zach out there one of the first times that he put Zach out there in a game as goalie. And, they were just whipping those balls in there left and right. And Zach didn't know what was coming at him. And the coach turned around and Zach had disappeared. And the coach was like, how does that happen? How does a kid that's so big disappear? And he turned around and Zach was down on the ground covering his head because he had no idea where the balls were coming from. But, he got up and kept going. He asked for more pads for his shins and his arms to protect him, but he kept going.
Way to go. Way to go. So, you know what? I'm going to, because I got my own stories of Jordan, but I'm going to pass it to, hi, Summer. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Summer. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much. And Summer, we're just sharing some stories from, our angels. And, we want to memorialize them this year. And Summer, thank you for joining us. I can imagine, I know it's been, it's a challenging time. And, we're here to create a support group with Can My Child Play Conversations. And basically, Summer, what I did was, when we started Can My Child Play Conversations, it was basically off a book that I wrote this summer. And basically the name of the book is Can My Child Play? The Questions We Should Have Asked. And basically what it talked about was we didn't ask enough questions of coaches, recruiters, things like until Jordan got injured. And then all the questions started at that point. So, hey, Mike, can we show a picture of Hunter Midkiff? I sent that over. So also, Summer, what we did was, and I hope I got a really good picture of him just to memorialize him. And Summer, what we did this time is just us on the call right now. We don't have any audience or anything. And, you know, please feel free and share, you know, what you want to share. And if not, you know, we're just happy to have you, and we can put some virtual hugs or something around you. And I'm sure hopefully this won't be the last time that we connect, because unfortunately we know what you're going through in a sense. So, you know, we're here for you for sure.
Thank
so
you.
if you want to jump in, please jump in. But you know, hey, please do, you know, for sure. Yep. And so what we decided to do was, we always talk advocacy when Laurie and I get together, because, you know, just of a lot of the things that we've done. But, you know, one of the things we just want to kind of share a lot of happier moments right now, and just kind of share some stories around, you know, this time of the year. Hey, Laurie, I'm going to tell you, when Jordan, I don't know where Tanya went, hopefully she'll come back. But Laurie, let me tell you, Jordan was maybe 15 when his size caught up with him mentally. And because he always played basketball. Like he played flag football. He got big so quick that it was like, you know what, we'll just go play, you know, we'll play basketball. He kind of found a big man sport. And, you know, for years I had been telling him, like, your body and your size. But, you know, again, I would beat him up. We would play every Sunday, and I would pummel him. I would literally just to toughen him up. And he would play me extremely hard. But when he got around his peers, he played his peers. He played at that mental level. And, you know, I used to tell him all the time, just imagine my face on some of these guys you're playing against. And literally, I think when he was playing AAU basketball, and we would always, you know, go to a tournament or something on the weekends. And he was playing football in high school and basketball, I think up to a sophomore year. And whatever we would play on the team. And Jordan was 6'5", a size 16 shoe. So he would always get a free pair of sneakers to play with somebody. And this one kid, I think we were up in Pennsylvania playing. And this kid just kept talking trash to Jordan. And I'm like, okay. And the guy caught a fast break, and Jordan gave him like a super duper hard foul from like the Detroit Pistons days when they used to tear Michael Jordan up. And I'm like, at 15, you should have saw me in the stands. I kind of jumped up, and it was like, finally, you got it. It was, and I think as parents, it's not when we want them to get it. It's if we keep them active enough, they'll get it when they're supposed to get it. So, yeah, I got a closet full of size 16 Jordans, because when he went to college, it was like, I guess he bought one pair every month. So luckily, Tanya let me keep the sneakers and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I got plenty of stories like that. But I mean, it was always, Jordan just was a great guy. And I mean, literally he was as I wrote in my book, he was 1,000 times better than me. So, you know, that was always something to kind of look forward to. He wasn't a talkative person. You could ride from here to Alaska with Jordan and you might get 5 words out of him, but that's just who he was. And it took me a long time to really kind of understand, like, he's just a man of a few words. Now, when he was with his peers, that was something totally different, you know. But again, while he was just with us, he was just a very, very, really just kind of easygoing, laid back. He really didn't take a lot of stuff off his peers, but you know, that's just who he was, you know, for sure. So, Summer, how are things going on your side? And I know, but you know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, introduction wise, and Summer, let me tell you, you know, since we've been in this arena, we have people on our team that always, you know, bring us the information or bring us up to speed. Unfortunately, whenever we had a tragedy over the summer, and this summer has just been kind of a unrealistic, horrendous summer, and just in regards to the amount of student athletes that we lost to this injury, and especially high schoolers. And it was just, extremely challenging. So, we have been, our hearts and prayers have been with you, because I've been reading the paper as soon as we heard about it. And you guys went to a hospital in Memphis, am I correct?
Yes.
Correct. So, yep.
We live in a very rural town.
Yes, ma'am.
So when he was airlifted to Memphis Children's Hospital, Le Bonheur, and they just took over and did everything they could. But that, it just, the illness succumbed him, and it was too much for him. Even though he was a healthy boy and he had no issues whatsoever, it just was like, damn.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we all shared in regards to, our student athletes, in the sense that, they were, I guess that was the questions that, Laurie and myself and everybody else has happened to. How do you go from a healthy child that morning, and then something so tragic can happen so quick, and it's just, it's beyond comprehension. I felt like, those 2 weeks I was like I literally went to medical school, literally, because, I was determined to find out what happened and what he was going through medically, in a sense. So, it's definitely challenging, to say the least,
Yeah, I was right there doing the exact same thing. It was 5 days from the day he collapsed till he passed away. And it was just like you said, you just turn into a medical doctor and try to figure it out, because you feel like they don't tell you everything. And how can somebody so healthy go down so quickly? And it's still, to me, I mean, it's been 4 months yesterday, and it just still feels like it was yesterday that it happened. And it's just been really hard.
Yeah, sure. We totally understand. We've, unfortunately, we've been there, and we're here for you. Please do not hesitate to reach out and stay connected, please, with us, because I think this is the first time that we've attempted to do something like this, and it's just unfortunate. Where do we can move on from here? We can move on from here.
And I guess I don't understand, and I've asked my husband and I've asked people, why is there not more awareness of heat related illnesses when they are, practicing in August, and, when it's the hottest time of the year? Why do we not have more awareness of what's going on? Because that's something like, my husband's a farmer, and so he's in the heat all summer long, irrigating, and, he's like, I've never even thought of a heat illness being an issue, and it's just like, all of a sudden it is, and it just, it brought a lot of awareness to our community. And, that's what I want to come out of Hunter's passing, is that people understand that it is serious. It's not something you mess around with, and it's okay to say, hey, coach, I'm not feeling good, and that's what, but when you're 16 and a boy and you want to be tough as nails, I get it. Hunter, you said that Jordan was a man of few words, where Hunter never shut up. He talked and talked and talked and carried on about everything. I mean, I couldn't get a word in edgewise with him. But that's just who he was. He was a funny kid. He made light of every situation. He smiled at everything. He was such a good boy.
So glad to hear it. Was he in high school or middle school?
He was going in to be a junior this year in high school. He was 16.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He just turned 16, just got his driver's license, and he had so much to look forward to. And sorry, my puppy is acting up. But he had so much to look forward to, and it just, like you say, it hits quick, and you don't understand it. I still don't understand it. I still don't understand at all.
Well, Laurie, you want to chime in, Laurie?
Yeah. Summer, there are no words that can make you feel any differently about this. And I just want to tell you that it's been 3.5 years for me. Still feels like it was yesterday. Our boys are a piece of our heart, and that's never going to change. So the pain is never going to change. What I can tell you is you do learn how to live with this pain in your chest all the time. You sort of learn how to live around it. And I know it sounds bleak, but there will be moments of joy ahead of you. Even though it doesn't feel like it right now. And you can't imagine ever having joy again. But you will. And you will learn how to embrace that love that you have for Hunter in the midst of all the pain and find joy.
It just is going to take a long time.
Oh, it's never going to stop hurting.
Right. And Summer, take as long. First of all, nice to meet you, Summer. I'm Tanya. I'm Jordan's mom. Jordan was 2018, almost, well, 3 years next year. And I still feel like I'm living in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I push through every day, just push through. And some nights I cry all night long, all day long. And then once I cry,
You're good.
Yeah. And then you sit back and think about the memories and you smile. So you're crying and smiling at the same time. So, it's no timeline on when you're going to feel better. It's no timeline. At least not for me.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, lately, I've had more good days than bad days. But I just climb through and just keep pushing. And I mean, it hurts. I tell you, it hurts down to my soul. And it's a process.
It is.
So hold on, just hold on. All the great memories.
And some, I'm gonna tell you, we've definitely, I think that for me, somebody, and if this helps, and Laurie, as this is towards you as well, I had a family member. I was at another older family member's funeral, and a matriarch of the family, and a family member I had never met. And, we were in the media every day, and this was just like a wound that wouldn't heal, we just couldn't get away from it. This was, unfortunately, our story just really garnered a lot of national attention, and it just was so much around it. And, I'd be in the gym and I'm trying to work out, and, there's Jordan on the morning news and this and that and this and that. And so I was at this funeral, and an older family member that I never met, and she gave me a handwritten letter. And she said, the letter stated that, our children aren't our gifts from God. And sometimes we got to return our gifts sooner than we would like to return it. And that just kind of, for some reason, that just kind of, put me at ease. And that was something that I used. And I look at Jordan and I look at Zach and I look at Hunter, and we're surprised that we don't know what our angels missions are when they come here. And at times, you'd be surprised at how impactful that they are, because I've questioned myself for many a day, like, why Jordan? And I think that anybody that would have went down that day, it would have been the same result. However, I asked myself, why Jordan? Why me? And I'm just glad that I was in position really to pick this ball up, or we were in position to pick this baton of advocacy up and run full steam ahead with it. Because again, I just don't think that, clearly, imagine how we felt when, at the college level, Jordan was the 31st kid that had passed at the NCAA level. And it was like, well, wait a minute, I never heard of the other 30.
Right.
So, Laurie, we're asking ourselves, like, our questioning started immediately from the time that we walked in the ER. And the more information we got, the more questions that came. And it was like, well, wait a minute, why? I've never heard about this. Like, this happened. Jordan was the 31st young man that had passed from a heat-related injury in the NCAA since the year 2000. And it was like, okay, why have we never heard about this? And where's the advocacy? And Laurie, I can imagine how you felt, because again, we've had, just as many young people pass at the high school and AAU levels as well. So I think, and you know what, Summer, I know you live in a small town, because what we usually do is we usually send flowers to funerals and things like that. Tanya usually takes care of that. But I noticed that whatever the fund set up, it was at the local town bank. Am I right?
Yeah.
Got it. Yep. So yeah. Because I definitely kind of dug into that, and we always try to support from afar, and just do what we can do. But I think that this is where we can't give you a realistic grieving time. Do what you need to do, but again, just know that you have someone that understand what you're going through, and obviously somebody you can lean on for our support, for sure. How's the rest of your family doing?
They're good. My husband's actually in there minding the little ones. We got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and so he's having to be a mommy.
Good.
But they're getting excited for Christmas. I'm not quite there, but I'll suck it up and put my big girl panties on and be mama for the day, and just try to make it through.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so Hunter was going to the 11th grade this year then, right?
Yes.
Now, was he always a lifelong athlete?
Yes, he played football from as soon as he could at 3rd grade. Yeah, and I don't understand football. I played basketball. I actually played some college ball, and so I wanted him to play basketball, and he was too big. He was a big boy, and he wanted to play football. It scared me, but his dad was a big football player, and so that's they had a good relationship with that. But I was not. I didn't like the cold weather to sit out there and watch him play. I don't like to be bundled up, but he loved that football. And I have no doubt in my mind that he died doing what he loved.
Yeah, I think they all did. Yeah.
And I have no doubt in my mind that he is in heaven with Jesus. And, it wasn't a few years before he was baptized. And so I know where he is, and I know I'll see him again.
Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff for sure. I think that, well, let me tell you, if you pick up the baton of advocacy, and we're here to help, I guarantee you will. Whew, boy, you're going to work just as hard. You're going to look, if you ever had a job before, a place of employment, whether it's being a mom, if you work somewhere, I guarantee you this work will have you, working nonstop. I mean, just to make a difference. And Laurie, I don't know about you, Laurie, but I work hard for this boy. You hear me? Like, it never stops. It never stops. And I tell Tanya thinks that, you know, she's going to retire from her job soon. She thought she was, but I'm like, I'm going to work you even harder over here because, you know, our motto over here, or our acronym is, what is it, Patrice? Help me.
WGWTD.
Right. We have work to do.
We got work to do.
We got work to do. And that's in every conversation with Patrice, we got work to do for real. So we definitely, and again, I think that, you know, we have you know, the more people that we can gain to join our mission, you know, to make a difference, you know, I think that that's the more ground that we can cover. Laurie, we got work to do, Laurie. It doesn't stop at all, for sure.
No. And, you know, it's heartbreaking for us, you know, who we talk and we just run ourselves ragged to try to get this message out there, and then, you know, to lose another one. And, you know, especially this summer where we lost several kids, you know, it's heartbreaking for us because we do everything we possibly can to get that message out there and to talk louder and to talk more and to say the exact right words in the exact right orders so that somebody will hear, you know, and it, you know, there's still just so many that have no idea. And, you know, so that's why we, you know, started banding together. You know, if we get together, then we have a greater reach, and, you know, we have more resources and we have a greater voice. And, you know, because it just can't keep happening. You know, it can't, even the kids that suffer exertional heat stroke and don't die, they have lifelong complications from that affect the rest of their lives. And that shouldn't happen either, you know, so just not dying isn't good enough. You know, we want prevention, and prevention is the ultimate goal. You know, where Marty and I have talked about making it so that it's just common knowledge. Everyone knows, you know, just like, I think I've mentioned before, you know, just like stop, drop, and roll. Everybody knows that. And you don't even remember exactly where you learned it. You just know that you've known it for always. And I want exertional heat stroke to be the same way, you know, where this is something that they can start learning from a very young age about hydration and, you know, what it looks like when you get overheated and what you need to do. And so it never gets to that point of exertional heat stroke, because it doesn't have to. And I think that's a big part of the confusion too. As, you know, as parents, we feel like somebody should have known this, you know, somebody smarter than me should have known this. And, you know, it just, it didn't happen. They didn't know. And, you know, so Summer, you have us to fall back on. And we understand, not just the sadness, but we understand the frustration and the anger. You know, it's okay to be mad at God. He can handle it. It's fine. He can handle you being angry. He understands that. You know, we understand the questions, and we understand the guilt, the absolute senseless, no reason. You feel like you're his mom. You should have known, you should have done something to stop it. We understand that.
Hey, Laurie, I think that's ideal because, you know, one of the things, and Summer, you had mentioned that, you know, when they're at that age, you know, that was one of the things I told Jordan. I thought I taught Jordan every possible thing I could teach him to prepare him for life in college. And one of the main things that I missed was clearly what I didn't know. But, you know, one of the things I didn't tell them was, you know, if you feel uncomfortable, speak up. If you feel uncomfortable, don't do it. And again, because I think that, you know, we teach kids to be coachable when we mean by that is like, hey, you know what, you know, you do, and, you know, you do what coach says regardless, and you don't talk back, and, you know, and that's a coachable player, where in reality, you know, that's a robot. That's not a coachable player. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, we are implementing now is listen to your bodies, and listen to your bodies. And we came up with a new concept called Kobe, which is keep on believing in yourself. And these are things that, you know, we have to empower our young people. And like, you know, guess what? If it don't feel right, don't do it. If you don't see, like Laurie just said, if we can just get things as simplistic as a stop, drop, and roll, you know, or we can just get, you know, hey, cool first, transport second, or hey, you know what, these are things that, you know, happen. If my body temperature, or if I feel a certain kind of way, this is the reality of probably what I'm experiencing at this point while I'm on the field. And, you know, as opposed to just trying to be pleasers, because I tell people all the time, you know, young people, if it doesn't work out, you're not going to live with coach. You know, you're coming back home to us. You know, if you say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to do this, I don't feel comfortable doing this, the coach is not taking you home and you're living with. You're coming back home to your parents, and therefore we're going to support you in whatever it is that you're doing. And if you didn't feel comfortable doing something, hey, we're going to support that 100%. And we'd rather see you live another day than kill yourself out there on the field trying to please somebody else. So again, these are things that, you know, we consistently want to teach our young people. And these are things that, you know, we want to encourage parents to really kind of, you know, let's kind of plant these seeds early at home, and, you know, let them know. We told Jordan all his life, you know, guess what? We're your biggest supporters. We're your biggest supporters. I mean, guess what? You're never going to get a bigger supporter than mom and dad. And that was the thing that, you know, we've always emphasized. But I just think that, you know, we have to encourage them to listen and keep on believing in themselves, and listen to your bodies. And like Laurie, you know, Laurie is a proponent for hydration. You know, you have to know these things about your body. And again, I just think that, you know, the more and more we empower them with education of these things, I think the more, you know, safer they'll be in the long run. Yeah, and I just hate to, you know, I hate to always say, you know, if we can kind of get into more of a, I don't hate to say this, but I just hate to see it always come from a reactionary perspective. It has to be a tragedy to get everybody's attention. And it's like, you know, like Laurie just said, we don't need any more tragedies. We've had enough, to the point where we should have everybody's attention, every coach's attention. But, you know, you still look at things that are happening in the world of sports. You know, just look at, we're playing football in COVID right now. We're playing sports in COVID. Nobody should be playing sports right now. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. We can live another season without sports. We can get to it next year when we can get some normalcy. Or when you look at the video circulating now of this coach that was hitting the players down in Florida. I mean, Laurie, how does that happen? How does the rest of the team even stay together from a parent's perspective? Like, everybody on the team should have left the team that day.
Mm-hmm.
But what questions didn't they ask prior to putting their children in this position?
Right. Yeah. That video infuriated me. You know, it's the bullying by adults on children is unacceptable, completely irresponsible. And I'm just infuriated.
Oh man, I'm Laurie. We can get on and we can talk about. I'm going to do a video on that, but I think that it falls into the parents' hands. And what questions aren't we asking before we sign our children up to play in the league? What aren't we asking that, you know, again, what systems don't they have? Do they have in place, or don't they have in place before I entrust my child to play with you or play with this particular organization? And that's where we empower parents. Like, if your questions aren't being answered, clearly this may not be an organization your child wants to play for. Your child should play for. You know, even at the college level, even at the high school level, like, we need to ask questions regarding what systems do you have in place to ensure the safety of my gift, or my child in a sense. And those are things that, we consistently have to ask.
Yeah. And parents have to be there for the practices.
I agree.
There's a lot of youth practices where parents just pull up, drop them off, and don't come back until it's over with. And that's, you don't get a sense of who that coach is, and you don't know how they practice or how they interact with your child if you're not there.
Yep.
Obviously that's harder to do at a high school level because they're practicing.
What they do, Laurie, I think that when you're just look at it from an AAU level. Okay, so if we can hang around, we can hang around at the AAU level. But most of us sit in the car, and the moms are under the tree on a hot day, and they let the coaches do their thing. And and then you can always tell an AAU parent from a high school parent. I was at Jordan was playing in a basketball game in high school, and I was sitting next to a lady in the stands, and I mean, she was carrying on. And I looked over and I said, "Your son's a freshman, right?" And she was like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" Because I'm like, you got an AAU mentality. Because at the high school level, it's kind of like, the coaches, you kind of get away from your 2 cents in a sense. And I just think that, we aren't as vocal at the high school level, and you don't even have a voice at the college level. Forget about that. What you think, Tanya?
Yeah.
Jordan's high school coach, as much as I like that guy, we got a good relationship. They wouldn't even talk to you after a game. Like, they would totally avoid parents.
High school?
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah. Like, until you really step your foot in and say, "Hey, you need to sit my child down," or whatever. I think Jordan had something was going on as a freshman, and I kind of sat him down. I think it may have been his grades or something like that. But, I just think that, we can kind of we can buy into that parent and coaches mentality, and basically kind of look at these people as the subject matter experts, when in reality they aren't. They just regular folks just like us. Let something happen and we'll see how regular they are, in a sense, because it's like we think that they should have did more, they should have known more, and in reality we really see that they're human just like us.
Yep, that's exactly right. And the time to ask those questions is before you ever let your child go play for them. And
totally. Patrice, did you have any questions, Patrice?
Before the program closes, just want to ask Summer and Laurie, just like, what's the one main point that you would want to have parents know, and what's the one main point you would want the kids to know about heat-related injuries or prevention, or just something to be aware of?
Well, I would want the kids to know that, like I said before, it's okay to sit down for a minute and take a break. And it's okay to say, "I don't feel right, something's wrong," and that nobody is going to make you feel guilty for that. And that parents are aware of, what kind of precautions should be taken, because in Hunter's situation, there was no precautions taken. As far as when he collapsed, there was no ice, there was no nothing. And, that kind of thing could possibly have saved him. I don't know what kind of life he would have had, but, they just, I feel like people just take everything for face. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's football. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. And, do your research, understand, I was just as guilty as the next mom, because I didn't know either. I'd never heard of it. But in the week that Hunter had his incident, a week later, another boy from Texas passed away. And then a month later, another boy from Louisiana passed away. And it was like, what the heck? Why do parents not see this? And why are coaches not educated enough? I get in bigger towns and bigger cities and stuff, but, even in that situation, they're not, they just, I found out in our town that you just have to watch a 20-minute video, and that just irritates me to no level that I put my kid in that person's hands and he wasn't educated enough and they, didn't have the proper equipment. And I don't know that it would have saved his life or if he would have had a different life, but at least they could have done something besides just nothing. And that's what I get frustrated about,
Mm-hmm. Trees, can I ask a question? So Summer, and what town are you in again?
We live in Piggott, Arkansas.
So how many high schools do you have there? Is that like a big football town or a small football town?
Yes.
Okay.
We got one school, one stoplight.
Okay. So do you have like a few AAU teams as well?
No.
Okay. So it's just one AAU team and you guys play all around?
Yeah.
Got it. And then, so it's a AAU team, then a high school team and all that, correct?
Well, no, I don't. There's not an AAU team at all. It's just high school.
Okay, great. Okay. All right, great. Okay, cool. All right. Laurie, I guess it's on you, Laurie.
Yeah. I think for me, the focus has to be on prevention. So in order to do that, there has to be education. And, that's education of coaches, that's education of parents, that's education of the students, there is that sense of, well, if they're hydrated, then they won't get exertional heat stroke. And from Zach's story, everyone knows that's not the case either. He was known, just in case you don't know, Summer, he was known for carrying a gallon jug of water with him at school, wherever. He had been told when he started football summer before his freshman year that he had to stay hydrated. He took that to heart. And, I was a little embarrassed that he was carrying a gallon jug of water at school. and he was just like, Mom, drinking out of the water fountain doesn't cut it for me. I need to stay hydrated. So he knew all about that and he practiced it. He would drink 2 gallons of water a day. He was a big boy. And he sweat all the time. He was always hot. So, the fact of showing up hydrated is one thing. Zach did that. He did his job. It's the practice that they did was too long, it was too hard, and it was too hot. So, he became dehydrated and had a heat stroke during this 3.5 hour practice. So these are things that, there has to be education. So just because he showed up hydrated and healthy, just because all 90 kids show up hydrated and healthy, doesn't mean nothing's going to happen and you don't need to worry about it. You have to have that piece. There has to be that responsibility by the parents and by the students, and the commitment to being healthy, getting enough sleep, not practicing while they're sick, which is a huge thing with COVID. But those things all play into possible things that can contribute to a heat stroke or an exertional heat stroke. So, all of those things need to be a part of the education. It can't be focused on just one piece because, it's like when you have a 3-legged stool, if you're missing a leg, it doesn't matter if the other 2 are super strong, it's not going to do its job. So it has to be all 3. Parents have to push nutrition. They have to push hydration for their kids and sleep. They got to turn off the screens. It's been proven blue light interrupts your sleep patterns. Those things are important. But then on the flip side, parents are giving their, like Marty says, we're giving our gifts to the school. And then we find out later that they weren't prepared for it. And that can't happen either. They have to be prepared for worst case scenario. So that means having a tub, having water in it, having cooling zones, hydration whenever they want. There's no limits on hydration. They've got a wet bulb globe thermometer to tell them what the temperature is on their field that day, and preset guidelines and modifications, which I always try to sort of put out there when I'm talking with coaches and athletic directors as, hey, this is a CYA. This is you doing your job. If you are doing these things and an accident happens, then it's truly an accident. But if you're doing these things, it's probably not going to happen. You're probably not going to have to worry about it. These are things that, just like having an AED, you got to have it there just in case. And I think that's the biggest part of my push, and what I think is important is a global effort and not just focused at one piece or the other. Even though we've been donating tubs, because that seems to be baseline, like minimum, at least they have a tub and it gives us an in to talk to them. And but there's minimum safety guidelines that need to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, even giving them a tub is great. I found out that our school had 2, but they weren't ready.
Yeah. And
that's, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And it's just like it's like talking to a doorknob with these people up here. I'm just telling.
Oh, don't feel bad. My son's school had 2 as well in the locker room. No one even pulled him into shade.
Oh, Hunter either. He was on the middle of the football field, and
yep.
It's like, why have it if you're not gonna? It's supposed, in the Arkansas Association guidelines, I did my research. It was supposed to be filled at 55 degrees and ready at all times during practice, at all times during a game. And why are they practicing when it's 100 degrees outside? They don't play football when it's 100 degrees outside, especially high school kids. They're at 7 p.m. when it's, maybe 85, 90 degrees at the first part of the season, but then it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we practicing when it's the end of the summer? I've never understood that. But that's my frustration. They had the equipment. They just, oh, it's not going to happen in Piggott, Arkansas. It's not going to happen to us,
Yep.
And it did. And it's just one, I could sit and preach all day, but the bottom line is it won't bring my son back, but I can prevent it to happen to somebody else.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I think, ladies, that clearly you both hit the nail on the head in regard to that. I think that again, most people or most coaches, it's interesting because most coaches, their biggest fear is losing a kid on their watch. But again, where's the prevention at? Where's the prevention? And you can't have a big fear. You can't brace yourself for any type of prevention in the event of anything ever happening. That doesn't make sense. But Laurie and Summer, we've talked to quite a few coaches since Jordan passed, and everybody. That's the one thing that's consistent. But what are you doing? And I've spoken at camps last summer, and it's like, okay, I know we donated a tub to this school. Where's the tub at? And it's like, oh yeah, well we'll. And it's like, no. Like, you got a DJ booth, you got this, you got that, but you got everything out here except the tub. And I just think that this is where, we need to kind of advocate for that. And like you said, Summer, everybody that we'll talk to, won't be a doorknob, but I just think that, I know the feeling, because again, nobody really sees the value in it until something happens, and it's just like, so, and these are the people that need to know. But I think that before we make these decisions to let our children play with these people, these are questions that we need to ask. And, the question should be, in the event something's going to happen, if anything happens, who's going to do what? You can put a 3-minute emergency action plan together from who's going to do what, the closest hospital, closest police station, who's going to call a parent, who's going to administer any type of EpiPens or medications, who's going to do what out of your organization. And, if they have any training or whatever the case may be. But I think that these are questions that we need to ask prior to, because, rest assured, you're dealing with kids and you're dealing with in athletics. It's not a matter of what's going to happen. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen. Yep. So ladies, in conclusion, I think, my wonderful guest, Summer Green, the mom of Hunter Midkiff, and our partner in advocacy, Laurie Giordano from the Zach Martin Memorial Foundation. Is Zach Martin Posenberg Memorial, right?
Zach Martin Memorial Foundation.
Zach Martin Memorial, right, Foundation. So I thank you all for joining me. Now, I also want to invite any parents who watch this that, that's a member, unfortunately, of this club. None of us want to be a member of, but, we've taken it and tried to, make the best out of it and push forward into a new normal, in a sense. Even though it's challenging as it may be, just think that we possibly can save the life of another student athlete or the parents of a student athlete from having to experience what we've experienced as well. So in closing, on behalf of the Jordan McNair Foundation, I thank everyone for joining us as we pay tribute to our student athletes. Mike, can we show pictures of Remy and Armani Bell on our way out? So we have Remy Hidalgo. Remy passed in September. His mom, Ashley. We were looking for her to join us this evening, but we still want to honor Remy and also Armani Bell. Armani Bell was a young lady who passed in 2018 in the Atlanta, Georgia area. She was a basketball player. And we were expecting her family to join us as well, but we still want to honor them. And also, we don't just honor people who's passed. We've honored survivors as well. So Ryan Swoboda, UVA, Ryan had a heat stroke, and fortunately, he survived. And his family, we support them, and they support us, the Swobodas. His mom, Sophia, and I can't think of his dad's name, but just a really great young man. He's a ambassador for the Jordan McNair Foundation. So we always want to honor them, and we'll definitely get back together to do some more of this stuff. Please, did I leave anybody out, Patrice? No?
You're good.
Okay, great. Patrice keeps me in line, everybody. Please don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. If you like to view any of our webinar and our series, please go to our website and click the Jordan McNair TV link. Thanks again for joining us. And remember, you can help save the lives of student athletes by supporting the Jordan McNair Foundation. Thank you.